I'd like to call to order the November 20th, 2023 meeting of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission. And we'll start with a call of our roll. Commissioner Girding.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
And Commissioner Doolittle.
Here.
And I'd like to welcome Commissioner Doolittle, who has just been appointed to the commission. So
Thank you.
thank you for being here. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. So if we can all stand and turn to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a new format with our agenda this evening, and I would look for a motion to approve the agenda that we have before us.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving our agenda for this evening, say aye.
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 Opposed? Our agenda is approved. And the next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was actually in September, on September 18th. I think everybody should have had a chance to review the minutes ahead of time, so I would look if there are any changes that would like to be made to the meeting minutes. Hearing none, I would look for approval of the September 18th, 2023 meeting minutes as written.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving our September 18th, 2023 Oakdale Environmental Management Commission meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. It's now time that we have our open forum, and we have only one person present who is going to be giving a presentation this evening, so we're going to open the floor for our presentation from the Ramsey-Washington Metro Watershed District. And Paige, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, is this good here? Okay. Yes, thanks for having me tonight. Noah, good. I don't know if we've met in person, right?
Never.
No, good. Okay, well, good to see you. Yeah, so I am here to tell you a little bit about the Watershed District in general, and then specifically about our stewardship grant program. Kind of keeping this very high level, obviously open to questions after, and then if you want to reach out to me with any questions, I'm definitely available for that. So yeah, I'll go over a little bit of our background, talk about some of our water quality improvements, our native planting projects, and grant programs and opportunities available to some citizens of Oakdale, people that live within our watershed district. So here is a map of our boundary. It's a little bit funny, and I meant to add just Oakdale specific, but I forgot to do that. So here, you can see we cover Tanner's Lake and just that little portion of Oakdale. We cover all our parts of 12 cities. And so our goal as a watershed district is to protect the lakes and streams and wetlands that fall within our jurisdiction. So we are a local unit of government. We have taxing authority. So that's where our funding comes from. And then we also apply for many state and federal grants each year too to help complete our projects. And And if you are curious, if you're in our watershed district or any residents ever reach out to you on our website, we have a very nice, if you just go to our homepage, there's a nice link that says, are you in our watershed? You put in your address and it'll come up yes, or else if you're not, it'll come up with the watershed district you're in. So pretty easy. And as part of the watershed district, we have several different programs, all for the sake of water quality and stormwater management. So we have our water quality team. So they go out and monitor our lakes and streams. We work in Ramsey County in conjunction with Ramsey County Public Works, but in Washington County, we do all of those lakes ourselves. So they're collecting samples in the lakes, and then they do certain stream monitoring and then monitoring of certain best management practices or BMPs that are installed, just to make sure that they're functioning as designed. And then we can use those, we have modeling and different calculators that we use to make estimates, but this helps just to verify that those calculations are correct. We have a permitting program so that we have stormwater management rules that are enforced on any construction project, redevelopment, or new development that's over an acre of land disturbance. And then those projects need to meet our stormwater management rules, so making sure that they have best management practices on site to help treat the stormwater on their property or coming off of their property. And then during construction, they have to meet erosion control standards, so making sure they're not letting dirty water leave the site. So we have inspectors that go out weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the project, just to make sure that the contractors are staying up on that. We have a natural resources program, so we do a lot of our own restoration projects. We work a lot, we don't own land, so we work a lot with our city and county partners to restore their parklands, and then doing maintenance on those. We have our own capital improvement projects, so doing large, usually maintenance, repair work. Education program, and then our stewardship grant program is the area I work in. So that's what I will be talking about more today. As part of our funding, so we have funding available to homeowners as well as large scale projects. So commercial, churches, schools, other government agencies, homeowners associations, apartment complexes. And with those, there's different levels of grants. We try to keep it fairly simple with a 50 to 100% cost share, which I guess isn't really a cost share, but we will contribute 100% to certain projects, so that habitat restoration falls under that 50% category, and then rain gardens that treat hard surface runoff, so whether it's from your roof or driveway. A lot of cities allow curb cuts to go in on the roads so that we can treat stormwater off the street. That's the dirtiest water, most polluted, so we're trying to treat that and just help the downstream water bodies that way. So that those get a little bit higher funding. And then shoreline restoration, so lakeshore homeowners that are experiencing erosion issues and want to help stabilize, stop just mowing down to the turf and get some more native plants in there. Those are funded pretty highly. And then with the larger scale projects, that commercial and government section, we look to this is a little bit hard to see, but the yellow areas are our priority sub-watersheds, so areas that drain to more impaired water bodies or at risk of becoming impaired, and that's based on state regulations. So we report to the MPCA every year. And then on here, this is a new funding mechanism or layout that we're going to be proposing to our Board of Managers in December. So we're looking at ways to increase our I don't know how to term this, but our equitable, making sure our funding is more equitable. So the dark blue areas are classified by using the CDC and Ramsey County Social Vulnerability Index as areas of, higher diversity, lower income, and then the lighter blue are a little bit less than that, and then the gray are not classified in that. So we're trying to figure out how do we get these projects out, more in the public, more, it's a lot of money. Some of these rain gardens they can be $15,000, and the grants are a reimbursement, so it's a lot of out-of-pocket expense up front before that grant reimbursement comes. So trying to figure out how we can best help people out that way and get projects in the ground. The projects are great for us. As I said, we report to the MPCA every year, so we use we record these projects and record the pollutant removal we get from each project and use that to help report to the pollution control agency every year. We work very closely with Washington Conservation District. So this woman on the left is Lori Tella. She's out with a resident. So we meet with homeowners to assess their properties. She's a landscape designer. And her services are, there's one site visit that's covered by Washington County, and then all of her time going forward, if she, we identify that a project is eligible for grant funding, her time is reimbursed through the Watershed District to design the project and meet with homeowners, work with contractors to get those projects installed to the specifications. So that's a great partnership that we have there. Many grant opportunities are available. This is just, I'm gonna go through a few quick pictures of some, but rain gardens, this picture up in the corner is a rain garden that was installed this year, and that has that curb cut installed there. So it's taking runoff from a city street, treating it in the rain garden. They're designed to drain within 48 hours. Below that is it's a pervious, this one's in a parking lot, actually our office in Little Canada. Parking lot, it's paved drain, so it's just another type, there's porous asphalt, porous concrete. Paved drain is what we've been seeing a lot of recently. A lot of, Shoreview has used it on quite a few city streets, so we're seeing it more and more out there. And then tree trenches. These ones in this picture here are at Target, I think it's in North St. Paul. But we've got those at Maplewood Mall, a Target in East St. Paul. So just another way to get stormwater treatment without giving up parking spaces. Obviously something we're running into nowadays with our urban environment. Native landscaping, very prominent the last few years. Now that we've been kind of in some drier years, people are realizing that they don't want to mow as much. They don't want to irrigate with potable water. So they're looking for alternatives to just turf lawns. So we're seeing a lot of conversions. You might hear, if I have, so these ones are more, with the pretty colored flowers, kind of a more informal prairie planting, beautiful, great for habitat and pollinators. And then below that is a more formal planting, larger plugs put into the ground. You have the mulch there, so easy to pull out what is a weed and what's not a weed. And then there's also, people are doing bee lawns or low mow turf, so some alternative to traditional turf grass. So that's our stewardship grant program. So that's when people come to us and say, hey, I would like to do something better for the environment or better for water. We can help with that. We also have what we call our targeted retrofit program, or we kind of are trying to come up with a better name, but like our clean water retrofit program. So this is where we as the Watershed District seek out larger scale opportunities for grant funding, for projects where we can get better pollutant removal. A lot of these, when we first started the program about 10 years ago, we worked with churches and schools. A lot of those areas have larger green space, and so it was fairly simple to approach them, offer them full funding for these types of projects, and then we could put in a rain garden or larger infiltration practice in their existing green space. We've kind of since done all those projects at the low-hanging fruit sites, and now we're going on to more commercial sites or areas where they might need these tree trenches or underground systems, pervious pavers. This picture here happens to be at Target in North St. Paul. If anyone's ever been over there, you'll notice, so there's technically 4 pretty large rain gardens in the back part of the parking lot, and then 2 rows of tree trenches. And we did something similar at the Target in St. Paul off Suburban Avenue in 94. And then we'll be working with the Target in Woodbury off Valley Creek Road is the 3rd and final Target in our Watershed District. So really cool partnership. Obviously highly visible. We are working on signage to get that out there so people know what's going on. But yeah, a great way to get stormwater treatment, but also get some vegetation in the ground. Both of those, the St. Paul store and North St. Paul store, they were able to give up parking spaces, which was amazing. But it kind of happened not that I want to say COVID was a benefit, but we did these around 21, 22, so they had been changing their practices, seeing that, okay, now more people are doing online shopping and we don't need as much parking. They're realizing they don't need to just plan for Black Friday or, back to school time. So we were able to take, I think between the two stores, about 86 parking stalls, which was pretty great. Woodbury, we're not able to take any parking. I don't know if any of you go to the Woodbury Target, but it seems to always be busy. So they couldn't give up any parking, but they have a big open space where we're going to put in 2 large infiltration practices there. Through both grant programs, maintenance is key. We try to stress to people very early on what the maintenance will be on their practices if they put them in. Some people are thinking if they put in a rain garden, it's no maintenance, they don't need to do anything, but it's not true. So being very upfront with that, we do, as the Watershed District, we have maintenance grants available. So that helps people to, we promote that they hire somebody to do maintenance, especially on larger practices or these plantings that are a little bit more intense. It's just easier for someone who knows native plants to get in there and pull the weeds. And that maintenance grant helps, it covers 50% of the maintenance costs for 5 years. So a big push for people who are kind of on the fence. I really want a rain garden, but I can't afford the maintenance. That really helps push that kind of like, okay, we can do that. And then with our larger projects, those targeted retrofit projects, when they go in, the Watershed District covers 2 years of maintenance, and then we turn that over to the property owner to maintain. So Target right now is maintaining their sites after this year. It gives us those first 2 years are when projects need a little bit extra care, and we want to make sure that there's no issues, especially if things are under warranty, we can get the contractor out there. So that's been a great system to have that maintenance just tacked onto the contract. Education and outreach, we have an education team. So we have someone who goes out in schools and does work. We have people who work with adult volunteers or different volunteer groups to get out. I mentioned signage at like the Target store. So any of our projects, this one is actually House of Prayer Lutheran Church in Oakdale, where we did a big rain garden, 2017 maybe. Big rain garden out there, so we try to put signs out there so people see what's going on. It also helps if maintenance isn't being done. After our term is over, we still try to get out and do annual inspections, but that's hard to do every year. But having that sign out there makes it look like, okay, this is supposed to be here, and hopefully if it's not being maintained, then members of the congregation would, maybe approach the church and say, hey, let's get out there and do something. Let's do an event. Let's get some volunteers out here and take care of this. And then we work with a group called Minnesota Water Stewards. So they're very active volunteers. They're trained in watershed, in the watershed world. So they know a lot about native plants and just water in general. And we are able to tap into their services a lot, which is great. One program that we started 2022 was kind of a pilot year. 23, I guess was our second pilot year, where we were able to offer funding for enhanced street sweeping. So we did a study in 2022 to look at. So we looked at, there's been many, many studies by the Pollution Control Agency, University of Minnesota, to show the benefits of street sweeping. So we know it's a great best management practice. It's very cost effective. The amount of pollutant removal and sediment reduction we're seeing is great. So we took their studies and refined it for our watershed district. So identified areas where we would like to see more sweeping. We met with all of our city partners and learned a lot about their street sweeping programs. How much are they sweeping? When are they sweeping? What types of sweepers? Everything you'd ever want to know about street sweeping, put that into our study, and then we're able to use some of our other GIS mapping information to figure out where do we want to see more, where would it be beneficial. And so on here, we were able to offer funding to, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities for 2023. This recovery ranking is where it's kind of a ranking of all the cities. So like Oakdale ranked 8 out of 12 for where we'd want to see more pollutant reduction. So landfall was the #1 city where we wanted to see more pollutant reduction. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think Oakdale was, they're doing a lot of sweeping. I don't remember how much sweeping, but there were just certain areas where like, oh, we could do a little bit more. And Oakdale was interested in doing that. Some other cities were, hey, we don't have capacity. Even if you give us funding, we don't have capacity to do that this year. So it was great that we could work with Oakdale on that and get, the goal is to have two additional sweepings in the fall of '23. I haven't seen any numbers yet if that were to happen or not, but I believe they're going to hire a contractor and do some additional sweeping or else use in-house sweepers. That's what some cities did. So we were very excited to offer that this year, and then we're going to be proposing to our board that we extend that for next year. So hopefully, we're not quite sure how that will look, but we're hoping we can continue to get that enhanced sweeping. And then this is a picture of a sweeper that Woodbury purchased a wrap on. So this is one of their sweepers, just adding some education. It has our logo on there, and then South Washington Watershed District, just to kind of promote the benefits of street sweeping to people in the adopted drain program. And that is it. Kind of a quick overview, but happy to answer any questions.
I do have a question.
Question on sweeping.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
yes, thank you.
Does the street sweeping include surfaces and curbs and gutters, or does it extend below the storm grates also?
No, I think just, surface, yep,
Real sweeping.
yes, yep.
Okay. You had also talked about a Ramsey County, forgive me, social diversity index?
Social vulnerability index.
Pardon me, social vulnerability
Yes.
index. Does Washington County also have one?
I don't think so, and that's why, and don't quote me on that, but what we were looking at, I think Ramsey County's is published and being used, and then there's also the CDC. They have something similar, so we were looking at combining it, because obviously we need our map to extend into Washington County. So we looked at meshing those together, and I believe, now I don't know which one. One of them is updated every 2 years. It might be the CDC one, so I think that's the one we're going to use because then we're using their data, they're updating it regularly, but we definitely make sure that Washington County is incorporated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have a question regarding, you mentioned water quality areas, and so do you take water quality data for lakes and ponds and wetland areas in our parts of Oakdale that is in the
Yes.
watershed?
Yep, so we do for Tanner's Lake and Battle Creek Lake, and then we have the alum plant treatment system for Tanner's. So that, don't ask me a lot of questions about that, but if you have any questions, I can put you in touch with our water quality staff. But that is, it's a system, it uses alum to help remove phosphorus before it goes into Tanner's Lake. So our crews monitor that, maintain that, and then they do, so the two lakes are monitored, I think bi-weekly during the summer growing season, and then they monitor various, not a lot of ponds and wetlands, only if there's something major going on. There's just too many out there, but they do certain, what they call grab samples, where they'll go out or take stream samples if, if requested or if there's a project in the area.
Great. And is that data available on your website?
Yes, it's on our website. They're currently working on finalizing the 2023 data, but everything is on our website. And we do an annual water quality report. So the 2022 report is on the website, and then 23 will be available probably, I don't know, February, March.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. The street sweeping looks like a great partnership between cities and you guys. Where else can Oakdale partner with you guys on initiatives like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We love to help out. We try to meet with city public works staff if there's a street improvement project going on. So if that's in our watershed district, we have, so there's the permit rules that the city would have to meet, but then looking at ways to go above and beyond those permit rules. That's where the Watershed District can come in. You know, whether it's helping with ideas and actual funding, design, things like that. Any park projects too, looking at if there are any areas that can be, you know, converted into a rain garden or just getting, you know, putting more native plants in. Those are probably the biggest areas, and then just promoting the program to residents and even people who live outside of our district. The other surrounding watershed districts have grant programs as well, so letting people know that we're out there and want to help. Mm-hmm.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So you had mentioned getting the word out there. That's a theme to this commission's work. It's going to take us into 2024 and our work plan. And, you know, one of the engagement segments and audiences that we really want to nurture is multifamily property owners and residents. There's a lot of, I would say, opinions and perceptions about what programs like these can really do short-term, long-term. So I guess what guidance or data even do you have or the Watershed could offer when we're exploring conversations but run up against that short-term cost barrier?
Yeah, specifically with
Specifically with multifamily
Yeah.
and or municipalities.
Sure, yeah. As far as funding, I mean, we work with a lot of homeowner associations and different, we've done quite a few apartment complexes in St. Paul. And, you know, the big thing is getting, if they're managed by a board of managers, getting that group involved and supportive and understanding, and then I guess having the funds and making sure, you know, it is hard that it's a reimbursement because if, you know, we want to do these big projects, but there are a number of, we have good partnerships with a lot of the contractors we work with, so we try to, you know, work it out, you know, schedule-wise where, okay, you're not paying until we, you know, we'll come out and do that final inspection and say, things look good, go ahead and pay the contractor, and then we'll issue that reimbursement. Yeah, so trying to minimize that turnover, and then that maintenance grant, I think, is a big thing to talk about too. Because I would say with the the multifamily living, maintenance is always the big thing, you know, who's going to take this on? They have a lot on their plates already, so making sure that that is a key thing. And we always want to make sure that, you know, a lot of these areas have their landscape crew, you know, they come out and mow and blow the leaves, but that's all they do, right? So we want to make sure that they're not the ones doing the rain garden maintenance or the native planting maintenance, or if they are, that we can give them certain training, because that's typically not what they're trained for. I don't know if that
Yeah, it does.
answered your question. Okay, good.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
No, but it was really enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this
Yeah,
evening
absolutely.
and
Thank
presenting.
you.
We will now move to our review agenda and start with old business. And our item on this is our draft 2024 Environmental Management Commission Work Plan. And we've been working on this this fall. And in our last meeting in September, we came up with a work plan review that made a few changes, additions to our work plan. And so in reviewing that, Hannah Dunn, our community development specialist and our liaison to our commission, thank you for your work on this, and highlighting the revisions that were made was very helpful in reviewing it again. And I think we have a good plan here as it's now written with those additional items. I'm wondering if there are any comments about any of the items in the work plan given that it's been 2 months now. There may be, upon further review by commissioners, there may be some comments or issues that you would like to bring up.
It's just one comment.
Yes.
Chapter 8, Goal 1, I think it's on the last page. It's the qualifier of other within the work plan. As we act as a extension of the city, does the city staff have any concerns about the capacity to host a fair, or whatever hosting could mean, if it's partnering with one that's existing or combining forces with another city?
Andy and I have talked about it a little bit, but we haven't really dug into the details, so that might be something I should probably talk further with him about and then get back to you on what that might look like or what we might have capacity
Sure.
to handle.
Okay. Yeah, the great word there is explore, so I know that we're not committing to doing something, but just making sure that the capacity is top of mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment and that, we rely on city staff to get a lot of this work done. And so I think that would be just in general as we implement this work plan after city council approval, we'll have to look at how we specifically do some of these actions and if we have capacity for everything. I think we have a good plan here, work plan. I think it's reasonable. And I think we can approach any issues as we go along as far as capacity for staff. And yeah, and in the past, we have had interns, and we could, that would be something to consider if we have capacity issues too. I guess I would also like to point out that this is a draft work plan at present, and that this will be finalized, well, it is a final draft at this point, I think, if we all agree this evening with that, and it will go to the city council for approval, and then it will become our document for our work next year. Do you have any comments on this, Hannah?
Nope. I believe the meeting with city council is finalized, but I want to check with the city clerk before I send that out to you. But I will be updating you shortly as to when we will be meeting with the city council to talk about the plan. But that'll obviously happen in 2024 since we don't have a December meeting. But I will keep you in the loop.
Great. Well, if there are no comments on the work plan, and no changes by our group, I guess this is our final draft. I don't think we need a motion or anything to approve that at this point. But this will be our final draft that will go to the city council then. And look forward to that meeting and meeting with the city council to move forward with the plan and answer any questions they may have. All right. Our new business, there are some Environmental Management Committee organizational updates. And Hannah, do you want to
Yes, I will.
go ahead and take the lead on this?
Yes, I'll quickly recap what was in the memo. It discussed some changes affecting the EMC. Just to recap, staff had reviewed advisory body and commission bylaws, city codes, and internal city policies. The city council discussed proposed changes at their October 24th workshop meeting, and then officially approved amendments at their November 14th regular meeting last week. The EMC bylaws were repealed in their entirety, and then pertinent information moved to an internal city standard operating policy. The city code was then amended, and information again moved to that standard standard operating policy. This consolidation of information was done to help avoid conflicting information and just create consistency across commissions. Some other important information to highlight. The meeting frequency of the EMC is changing. It's being reduced from 11 meetings per year to 8 meetings. Meetings will not occur during the months of January, April, July, and December. And then the number of potential student representatives that could serve on the commission is being reduced from 2 to 1. This was done to create consistency across commissions. And then the standard operating policy created a schedule for the annual work plan while EMC has been creating work plans for many years. The policy better defined a timeline for when we're submitting the work plan, when we're discussing it with city council, and when it's being approved and adopted. And then lastly, in order to ensure that commissioners and advisory body members are receiving the same information, annual training sessions will be held. The details and materials are yet to be finalized, but you can expect that there are some forthcoming training materials and a training session. So I will keep you updated as to when I have information from city clerk and other city staff about when that might happen and when you might get some materials. So that quickly recaps some of the changes. It's nothing too big. It's really more where the source of information is, not so much on the process of the EMC. Do any commissioners have questions regarding the changes?
No, but I'm wondering where the city standard operating policy is.
That's an internal policy, so I, as liaison, will make sure that any information that you need to know is given to you, and a lot of that pertinent information will probably be in the training materials. But a lot of the standard operating policy had some, behind the scenes, city clerk liaison information. So that's something that's going to stay internal, and I will relay any information that the commissioners, that was in the bylaws that the commissioners should know.
So that's the nature of the training, is sort of about the operation of all that
Yep.
stuff. Okay.
So those hopefully, haven't received a timeline as to when those will be completed or available, but they'll be in your hands hopefully soon.
And I guess one question I have is that there was a student representative for our commission approved already?
No, they're just, if we wanted to have a student representative, we used to be able to have 2, and now we can have 1.
Okay,
Because I think other commissions had only 1 student representative. Our bylaws or city code stated that we could have 2. So this was just to create consistency so that each commission just has 1 potential student representative.
okay. And I guess the other question I have, there's also Chapter 6, Solid Waste and Environment. And this has also been revised and,
Yep. A few sections were repealed and moved to the standard operating procedure or policy. But no big changes. That was more of just moving information to a different source.
yeah, as I read through it, it seemed to be substantially the same as the previous chapter.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Want to make sure I didn't miss something there. All right. Well, thank you. I think this is all good. Becoming more organized, I like that. And look forward to the training. That'll be good.
I do have a question about that. What will the training consist of?
I'm not sure yet. They're still being finalized. I'm sure there'll be a packet of orientation materials, and then we try to find a time when all the commissioners and advisory board members could meet together, and there would probably be a PowerPoint that some city staff member would walk through, just so everyone is on the same page. We're still figuring it out.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions before we move on? No? Great. Next item is we've concluded the business portion of our meeting, and we'll move to updates, and we'll start with the staff liaison, Hannah Dunn, and you can walk us through. I appreciate having this editorial calendar and some great work, it looks like, has been done in communications during the past 2 months, so that's great.
Yes. So staff liaison updates, a new agenda item. We'll start to move the EMC editorial calendar review under this item, and then go over some community development updates each meeting that we want to get on your radar. So to just go over the editorial calendar for November, the theme is reuse and recycling. So far in the month, there have been multiple Facebook posts highlighting the pumpkin recycling drop-off, which is now finished, but it seems like it was really successful, at least for Oakdale. I've yet to receive information from the county regarding the tons of pumpkins that were collected. But in the packet, there was a picture, I forget what date that was taken, but the dumpster's basically almost full, and I know that by Monday, the 13th, there was even more pumpkins. I wasn't able to get a picture that day. The hauler was too quick and picked up the dumpster, but it was full. I think moving it to City Hall worked out really well. Every time it was checked, there were only pumpkins in there, so it worked out well. And then moving into December, the theme is low waste holidays. So communications has received some potential social media content. They're the ones that really have the discretion over what gets posted when, just based on what they've got time and slots for. But proposed social media content includes promoting proper disposal and recycling of wrapping paper, as well as highlighting alternatives to wrapping paper, and then informing people about this disposal of both artificial and real holiday greenery, promoting less food waste after holiday meals, and then also educating people about wish cycling. That's something that the Recycling Education Committee in Washington County is trying to promote. You know, because you wish something can be recycled doesn't mean that you should put it into your recycling bin. So trying to educate people on proper recycling. So that's what we kind of have in the works for December. I didn't look out into 2024 because I know at our next meeting we'll discuss the 2024 editorial calendar. So do any commissioners have questions or even suggestions for upcoming social media content?
Well, I would just like to say that I appreciate all the work that's being done here on the communications. It's an important part of our work here is to make sure that we're reaching the residents of Oakdale. And I think this is really valuable, the communications about recycling. And I hadn't heard the term wish cycling before. I had to look it up to make sure and I was correct what I thought it was, but yeah, I know a lot of people who do that, unfortunately. So I think it's good to communicate that and what actually can be done. And actually, the waste hauler we have has a good one-page thing on what can go into the recycling. And we have it pasted on the wall above our recycling bin, just to remind everybody. So yeah, I think this is, it's great to continue this communication, and around the holidays, I like the suggestions about alternatives to the wrapping paper and that, because basically that is waste. You can't recycle it, and
You can reuse it.
yeah, you can reuse it. We do save it too, yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good reminder for people. Also, the food waste being a big issue as well. And so I think all that communication is very helpful.
Regarding the food waste, I noticed the sub-bullet of food scraps pickup updates. Where are we at as a city with that?
I think the county's still, you know,
Still
working
doing
on.
this thing?
Yep. So
Great.
food scraps pickup's only available in two Ramsey County cities and 2 Washington County cities. So I think they were just trying to make sure that they've got the capacity and those robots are working well enough to increase the amount of trash and compost that's going through that waste stream. But as soon as we hear some information or when things become solidified, we'll let you know.
I do know that we could have a table at the indoor market for one of their market days if we wanted it. But you'd have to sign up now for the next February through May
Yep.
period.
Yeah, I talked to Andy at my check-in on Monday that I should probably identify some dates to get to the indoor market to promote our fancy bags or food scraps drop-off or signing up for notifications for food scraps pickup or really whatever we want to promote. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you, Hannah. And now it's time we have some commissioner updates. The commissioners have anything that was not on the agenda that they'd like to bring forward, please do so. Well, hearing none, we'd move to our council liaison, who is our mayor, Mayor Zabel. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Good to be with you again. First and foremost, a big welcome to Tim, to the EMC. Nice to be getting these chairs filled. So we got 2 left, and we're going to get them filled. We're excited. So welcome. There's a lot of work that has to be done, so we always like having more hands. Let's see, when was the last time we were all together? October, September. Yeah, so a lot has happened in the last few months. The October buckthorn removal event was a big success at the Nature Preserve, so I was out there for that. We had about a dozen and a half volunteers clearing out buckthorn in the forest garden, and then Public Works crews came down and put down native planting seed behind us. So got a lot of that work done, so that was good. In terms of happenings around the city, development continues to take place at a breakneck speed. So, we can see all the stuff that's still going on along 694, down along the Gold Line BRT line. A week from today, we are actually cutting the ribbon on the new Helmo-Bielenberg overpass. That will be opening officially, I believe, later this month. So that is very excited. That'll be open to car traffic. And then buses will be added as soon as that route opens. So a lot going on there. What else do we got? Hannah mentioned the pumpkins. The word from our city administrator was we collected twice as many this year as we did last year. So moving, as Hannah mentioned, moving that from the enclosed Public Works campus to the 24/7 accessible parking lot was a huge boost. So we will continue to do that. Also good learning lessons for the city that sometimes we just got to trust people to put the right things in the bin until they abuse that. So we didn't get anything other than pumpkins in there, which was good. So we will continue doing that in the years ahead. Otherwise, our biggest project as of late has been the 2024 budget. After our city council meeting last Tuesday, we feel very confident that it is pretty well buttoned up. We will adopt it at our meeting in December, I believe the 12th. Property tax statements should have landed in mailboxes this week. As we've seen for numerous years now, values continue to climb. I think citywide it was about a 10% average, which is obviously a pretty big chunk after I think it was 19% last year. For the city's part, I think this is the 3rd or 4th year in a row now, we have cut the tax capacity rate in the city, which means the rate that everybody pays on their property is going down. We are also at, I think, a 3-year or the 3rd year of declines in the amount of debt service we pay as a city. We are working very hard to transition more to our cash reserves, using money on hand to pay for things like equipment and vehicles, et cetera, which is obviously a good thing as we see interest rates remain high. So we are starting to see the positive returns from that, with our debt service rapidly declining. Among some of our bigger changes in terms of the budget, the 2024 proposed budget is adding 3 police officers to our community. We're also adding an additional public works worker and some administrative help. So some areas in our personnel that definitely need some more hands as we are a growing city. So we are addressing those needs as well. Also just accounting for inflationary costs. Every city's dealing with it, cost of fuel, costs of salt and fertilizer and all those things that keep our streets clean, the lights on and everything. Those costs are going up, so we have to account for that as well. We're also budgeting for I like to call it generational infrastructure. We have some parts in our city where things like sewer and water mains are at the end of their life cycle, 60, 70 years old. And so we got to start collecting money for those big infrastructure projects that we haven't had to deal with for a very long time because they're going to be coming up very quickly. I think the first one is slated, a smaller project slated for next year, but then as the years go on, it gets bigger and bigger. So the theme of this year's budget is we're looking forward. We're anticipating some big costs, in the near future, and so we're trying to get our financial ducks in a row to respond to that. So we're keeping the ship steady and level as much as possible. So it's busy, but we have fantastic staff leading us along the way. We couldn't do it without them, but the end of the year is rapidly approaching, so we're excited. But as always, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'd like to thank you and the council for approving energy audit rebate program. So that'll help our work plan for next year and
Absolutely.
can get that rolling and implemented.
Yeah, it's, sorry, I forgot to mention that, but, that is an exciting opportunity for us to do something we haven't done in this city. So for anybody watching, it's an opportunity to bring in energy experts to do a home energy audit and figure out where we can improve in energy efficiency in our homes. So the city will be putting some funds towards, getting the cost of that down. It'll subsidize, I think, up to about half of the cost to our residents. But, we haven't done this before, so we don't know what the demand is going to be. So for year one, we'll see and see how many residents want to take advantage of it. But definitely something that checks a lot of boxes for what Oakdale is trying to achieve, whether it's our resiliency or energy efficiency goals. This definitely goes a long way in that. So we are appreciative to the EMC for bringing that request forward, and let's see how it works.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, I live near that Harlan Apartments that's going up, and I am just curious about when it's going to be finished. There's probably a date on there somewhere, but I'm really interested because it is a mixed-use development, and we don't have very many of those in Oakdale, such that people can live there and then walk to several places in the area.
Yeah. So, when that came to the city council, I believe it was last fall, that was a different proposal because that area was more of a commercial planned unit development. To your point, that was the developer's vision, creating housing opportunities next to retail opportunities. And so, that is our first multi-housing project in there. We suspect there may be more coming. Land is filling up, so there are some big parcels over there. The city has fielded some inquiries about them. We've also fielded some inquiries about additional retail opportunities over there. So, and then, with everything that'll be going across County 14, whether it's the new Aldi or other retail opportunities going in there, that area will be filling up, but the vision has always been to partner up complementary uses, especially as more people are spending more time in their homes. It's nice to have those things that they rely on daily nearby, if not within walking distance.
Yeah, well, I think walking and biking distance is really excellent.
It's a big advantage. Yeah. As for timing, I think 2025 sometime. I think spring 2025 we had heard. So, but who knows? That can change quickly. Any other questions, commissioners? Well, I will hang around if anybody wants to talk to me after the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That is the last item on our agenda. Our next scheduled meeting is February 19th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And that will be our regular commission meeting. So with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn our November 20th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning our November 20, 2023 meeting of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.